So in Singapore, oh, great.
Good morning, everyone, and good evening to my Singaporean colleagues. Welcome to part 2 of the Canada Singapore Virtual Trade Mission. Today's agenda, we have virtual tours by the National Library Board of Singapore. This will be conducted by Ms. Avril Tan, Senior Manager. So there will be a brief introduction to the National Library Board and also a behind the scenes tour of a public library in one of the housing estates in Singapore. Then followed by a short segment by Ms. Cecilia Wu, the Executive Director of the SBPA Secretariat. This focuses on joint projects with the National Library Board. Then after that, we will have another virtual tour by Kinokuniya Singapore. This will be led by Ms. Choa, who is the Corporate Relations Division Manager of the Kinokuniya Singapore main store. So without further ado, I think we will now I would like to introduce you to the first speaker, who is Ms. Avril Tan from the National Library Board. Avril, please.
Thank you, Yuri. Hi, good morning to Canadian friends. Good morning to everyone. And so I'm Avril. So I'm from the Partnerships Division from the National Library Board. So I'm here to do a bit of sharing. I understand from Cecilia that you're quite interested to know about the Singapore libraries. So I prepared a little deck to show you what the Singapore libraries are like and what we do on our daily day to work, and some of the images that you might be keen to know as well. So behind me is the Yishun Public Library. So this is one of the public libraries that have been revamped in 2018, and it just showcases the seating area and some of our collection. So I'll run you through some of it. Then feel free to ask me any questions after that. Okay. I hope it's not too dry for this early morning and everyone has had their coffee with them or tea. Okay. So give me a minute. Okay. Everyone can see the slides. Okay, thank you. So who we are. So as I mentioned, we're the National Library Board. We are a statutory board under the Ministry of the Communications and Information, and we were set up in 1995. So this is just a quick peek at our vision and our mission. So what we aim is to have the readers for life. We want to build learning communities among Singaporeans, and overall to create a knowledgeable nation. So that's our vision, and our mission is whatever we do, making knowledge come alive. We want to spark imagination from the young to the old, and also create possibilities amongst all age groups. So what we have is besides our public libraries, we have 27 in total in our network, and we also have the National Library as well as the National Archives of Singapore. So out of the 27 public libraries, the blue dots that are scattered across the island, 25 are owned and operated by the NLB, and 2 of them are partners libraries. So by partners libraries, it means they are supported by other organizations, and it's being managed and run by the National Library Board staff. Okay. So one of the libraries is Library at Chinatown. It's supported by a temple, so to promote Chinese language as well as the arts. And then the other library called the LL Library is located at the Lifelong Learning Institute near the east side. Is supported by Skills Future, one of the stat boards of the government. And for that particular library, the collection as well as the programs is more for promoting reading amongst the working adults. So for each library, other than the general public that we serve, some of them have specific niche collections as well as a specific audience they want to serve in mind. So just a snapshot of the public libraries, National Library, and the National Archives of Singapore. So these 3 areas or these 3 segments makes up the National Library Board. So it's quite similar to how the National Library and NAS similar to the Library and Archives of Canada. So we complement our collection with the programs and exhibitions. And more importantly, we want people to have an interest in our own Singaporean history as well as the heritage. So I come personally come from a public library background, so I'm a public library librarian. That's my portfolio, and I'd like to introduce you to some of our niche libraries that houses specific thematic collection. So the first one I want to introduce you is called the Library at Chinatown. It's located in a Chinatown complex. So this is considered a mall library. So for this one, it offers a curated collection that caters to arts and culture enthusiasts, as well as for the general public to pick up or learn more about the Chinese culture, the Chinese languages. And most of these books are Chinese translated to English, so it's easier to reach out to a wider audience. So the thematic collection also includes titles on calligraphy, literature, music, Chinese painting. There's also traditions and customs suitable for the young to the old. There's also a small selection of materials on commonly spoken Chinese dialects in Singapore, such as Teochew, Hokkien, or Cantonese, that we want, so that we hope that the languages will not be lost for the young generation. So the next niche library is the library at Esplanade. So it's the first public library dedicated to the performing arts and the acts. Okay. And it's a one-stop resource library where staff is being equipped to offer information and services in the areas of music, dance, theatre, and film. So in this library, the collections are split into these four main arts section, and with each you will have its own media formats, print, non-print, to showcase for the patrons. Okay, so this is located in Esplanade Theatres on the Bay. So you can see the top right-hand corner, and it's one of the few libraries in the world to be co-located within a performing arts complex. So our collection in this library includes books on choreography. We have dance education, screenplays and music scores, including sheet music that our customers can borrow home. And our audio visual formats have CDs, VCDs, Blu-rays as well. And for those for a mature audience, or rather mature films, this would be under lock and key, and then the staff would have to provide support if anyone wants to borrow these materials. So the facilities inside this arts library will have the screening rooms, the middle photo. So you can actually borrow the Blu-rays and you can watch with your friends and family. You have the silent studio, which is the left image. So we have provide some equipment there for people to rent the facility and to jam with their friends. And we also have a piano practice room, again, also for rent. Okay, so library at Orchard, it was revamped. It was opened in 2014. It's also located in the heart of Orchard, which is a shopping district. So you might be curious to know how come there's a library in a shopping district where there are lots of competition with the shopping malls and other recreational lifestyle areas. So this is because there's a specific collection. It's targeted for lifestyle, design, and applied arts. So those who are shoppers, those who want to take a breather with their shopping bags, they can pop into the library, they can browse fiction and non-fiction books, as also pick up a bit of knowledge on the arts. So the non-fiction collection, we have organized it into 5 design clusters. So the people, we have books on fashion, people photography, portfolios, and entrepreneurs. We have the space collection. So it's if you want to know a bit more on interior design, landscape, and architecture. So the product would be on furniture design, industrial design, game design, handicrafts, packaging, and visual is more on advertising, graphic design, typography, photography, and the last but not least, lifestyle. We have the gastronomy books, travel logs, etiquette, and literary pursuits. So these are the top 3 niche libraries that we have. And okay, so my tree house. So this is actually a children's library. It is housed in the Central Public Library in the National Library building. And for this one, it's special where it's the world's first green library for kids. So the furniture, the space, the materials that we use have a sustainability factor in it. The collection that we house in my tree house, it's tied to environmental needs to encourage being eco-friendly. We have eco mascots to reach out to the children, like the squirrel, We have storytelling underneath the tree, and you see the middle pictures with the green and yellow lighting. These are all recycled bottles that volunteers have painted to make up this entire landscape. So for the Central Public Library, another of its collection is strong in its literary arts. And we have also collaborated with publishers as well as authors for the Meet the Author sessions. So I think Cecilia will share a little bit more on the collaboration that we have at the Central Public Library as well. So it houses the largest English fiction collection amongst the network of libraries. And because of its location, it's also one of its distinct collection feature is in the international collection. So we have international agreements with our partners, and we have brought in books, or rather, they have given us books. So we have books from US, Saudi Arabia. The recent one is Hungary, Korea, as well as France. So we have the French collection all housed inside the Central Public Library. So how we serve? So on our ground, our motto amongst our staff is to delight and connect our customers. Our strong focus is on customer service excellence as well as training. Okay, so we have identified this categories of patrons that we want to serve, and different teams have been set up. So librarians have been we have dedicated librarians looking into each of these age group, and with this age group, it has its own programming and exhibition. It also has its own collection as well. So for 0 to 6 years old, we call it the early literacy. So things on print, things on sense and sensibility, awareness of words, vocabulary. It's the focal area for the 0 to 6 years group. 7 to 17 years old, the children and teens group will be looking after it. We have the Read at School initiative, where we reach out to the primary schools as well as tertiary institutions to encourage reading and to bring our library services to the schools. So 18 to 50 is the band for adults. For this one, we have Read at Work, which is to reach out to organizations or the working level. So, for adults, it's very hard to get them to read once they've graduated and they have their own milestones, they have their own things they wish to achieve for. So reading tends to fall a bit behind for, at least in our case, for the adults. So this is how we try and think of topics that are relevant to them. So it could be career changes, it could be finding a new job, how to write a good resume. We bring in programs, we bring in talks related to such topics that are close to their hearts. So even things like housing, retirement, we have identified specific subject areas to focus on. So for the 50 plus, it's more of bridging the digital divide to equip the elderly, the seniors with materials, with the skills to be able to cope with the changing technology. Again, we also have the collection as well as programs to reach out to this target group. So this is just some of the initiatives that's ongoing. So for example, Book Box is a playable card game, and each card has a bug with its own characteristics. It's a little bit like Pokemon, but we use reading elements to encourage children to borrow books so they could redeem such cards. And with these cards, again, there's storylines. They pick up new words. They can play with their friends or have a competition with their friends. And again, it's a collectible set. So it's like collect all the book backs and they can show them off their friends. So this is how we try and encourage children to read in a safe area and to read in a fun manner as well. So for the top two photos here, we have the Make IT Lab, targeted at teens and adults and even the general public. So we have Maker Labs. We bring in bring consultants as well as expert speakers to teach them how to use 3D printers, even sewing machines. We have the green screen, etc., for the public to come and use it. And to reach out to the underserved, we have two initiatives. We have the Project Deliver Me, which is the bottom left, where we will bring books and deliver to those who are unable to visit the library, as well as the Molly buses. These Molly buses have special fixtures and furnishings with ramps so that if we are wheelchair bound, the visitors can just go up the bus, and in the bus, again, there's collection. You can read in the bus, you can borrow books in the bus, and these buses would just will have a specific schedule and it goes around the island to reach out to the patrons. Then Read Fest is our annual reading festival. With we have international speakers. We try and promote our Singapore collection, and make it like a huge festival for everyone to come and read together. So other than collection, we also rely on technology to engage. So in our recent revamped libraries, we have VR facilities and interactive screens. We also have immersive storytelling rooms. So it's just to add a little oomph for encouraging reading as well. So for immersive storytelling, we partner with a school. So the students actually created some of these storytelling packages for us. So other than the normal prints, we are expanding our digital content that's available on our website, as well as our National Library Board. We have a mobile app as well. So we are trying to expand the number of ebooks, audiobooks. We are branching into digital storytelling sessions as well. And when it comes to social media, we are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But there are different channels. So we have the more corporate channel, which is the National Library Board channel. We also have our public libraries, Twitter and Instagram as well. So the voice behind these channels are a bit different. The messaging that we put forth on these channels are also a bit different. So for the corporate channel, we tend to more have announcements, messages, events that are upcoming that are more larger impact. While the public libraries would be, the public libraries channels tend to focus a bit more on book sharing, more on reading recommendations, reaching out to patrons, having fun trivia and book quizzes to engage the audience. So it's been a tough time with the pandemic going on, but the circuit breaker actually allows us to also make certain changes to how we deliver these services. So it would be a bit hard for them to come physically to the library. So instead, we added on or increased the number of on-site programs. We have hybrid due to the limited capacity that we can have in the libraries. So with hybrid, with online programming, we are quickly adapting our services to reach out to the people to ensure that they can still continue to read as well as to learn. So we have learning packages, as I mentioned, the digital storytelling, and harder promotion on the access of e-newspapers and e-books for everyone. So that's how we can't do this alone for the National Library Board. That's why partners play a crucial role. So like SBPA is one of our very close partners, and we have also other partners that we are working with to develop and engage them in providing services to meet the needs of our patrons. So for our partners, we have split them into mainly 4 categories. So we have our corporate volunteers. So our corporate volunteers, they sometimes do ad hoc. Some of our public libraries are volunteer run. So we have volunteer run spaces. Not the only library at Chinatown is a full volunteer run library. While the rest of the libraries, we are slowly carving out specific areas, like say the adults collection in some libraries to be volunteer run. So that means that we encourage volunteers to give their time. They can come by and sign up anytime that they want to, and they help to maintain our collection. They help to provide very basic information service, customer service. If there's anything a bit more complicated that requires the staff, then they can just pop and look for our own NLB staff. Other than that, volunteers play a very huge part in allowing our services to continue. So we have sponsors, we have our organizational partners like SBPA, and then we also have the international partners. So recently in November, we have our Leaders Conversations 2021. And we also have Leslie Wire, the Librarian and Archivist of Canada, come to share during the archives, because we have 4 sessions in total for the Leaders Conversations. We have academic, archives, public library, as well as the National Library. And we had a nice sharing session by Leslie. So this is how we engage our international partners as well. Other than the provision of books, we also work with the embassies. So what we aim for is with all these changes that are happening around the world, happening around with our people as well. So we are looking at launching, or rather we have launched the Libraries and Archives Blueprint. So this is how we are looking at the next stage of NLB's journey in the next 5 years, by being trying to stay relevant in a digitalized world, trying to see how we can transform our libraries, how we can add in new services, new programmings to encourage the nation to read. So these are the 4 roles that we hope to achieve in the next 5 years. And from here, I would like to switch to a YouTube. So this is our video on Lab 25. So this Lab 25 would be Libraries and Archives Blueprint 21 to 25. It's a minute clip, and let me just give you a sneak peek into what Lab 25 is all about. I'll show you the video. Okay.
Who's ready for a Zenium update?
Switch back. Okay, so that was just a quick peek at our Lab 25. Things are still being worked on. We are reaching out to lots of partners to help us to achieve this Lab 25 goal. So what you saw earlier was we have the 4 roles. So the learning marketplace is more of transforming our network of libraries, how we reach out to the people, increasing the number of touch points. So part of learning marketplace is notes. Other than the physical library spaces, notes would include putting our presence, the library presence, into other areas where people can connect to the library or connect to reading in a very serendipitous manner. So for example, we are working with healthcare institutions. This is a pilot run. We will be putting a note there. We have started a few notes at shopping malls. So this, and in the future, we are hoping to branch out to, say, the parks and to other recreational lifestyle areas where you don't think you will find a library, but there you are. So they could be jogging in the park, they could be resting somewhere, they could be waiting for a doctor's appointment, and there it is, a note is there for you to find out more information, for you to pick up a book, an ebook. And not only would it just be promoting e-collections, it could also be promoting part of the area in terms of heritage, in terms of culture. It could be a tourist attraction, for example. Read more about this attraction, read more about the history of this attraction, pick up a book related to this tourist attraction. So it all comes together in a very nice, holistic manner. So which leads to the Singapore Storytellers, where we want to preserve the country's culture, the country's history and heritage. And the tagline is more or less like everyone can be a storyteller. So we want people to share their stories. We want to curate these stories and preserve these stories so that it can be passed on generations to generations. So informed citizenry is more of the the technology is moving very fast. We know of fake news. We are trying to make sure that the people are informed. The people know how to make informed decisions when they come across a piece of news, to be able to discern which is real, which is fake. And informed synergy is where our team is actually looking into creating cultivating a nation where you can figure out what kind of sources are credible, what kind of sources are authoritative, um, and to not spread disinformation. And for equalizer, the last role will be the bridging the digital gap, making sure that no one is left behind as technology advances at a very fast pace, especially with our seniors or an aging population. So that's the LAT 25 in a nutshell. So last but not least, I'll walk you through the transform spaces. So as mentioned, I'm from the public libraries. The public libraries is one of the major touch points where the people will come in for their reading needs. And some of the libraries are a little bit old, and we have gone through a revamp for a few of the public libraries. And what is different right now with the revamped spaces is we pay better attention, or we put more focus into looking at the location of this library, the population that is served, the demographic profile, so that we can craft or we can make certain changes to the kind of collection that we want to put in these libraries, as well as to bring in very targeted programs and exhibitions, or even partners that we work with. So in terms of the design, in terms of how the color scheme, the collection type, more or less tied to the location, so that the residents may also feel a greater sense of belonging, a greater sense of a wildness when they entered their so-called community library, the library where there is only a stone's throw away from where they live. So we have the Sembawang Public Library. There's a history of it being used to be I think a shipyard, a port. So when the planners have planned out this design in mind, it's very industrial looking. They use a lot of metal. The color scheme is also a little bit different. Pasir Ris Public Library is near the beach, so the colors and as well as the finishing gives you a more going to the beach seaside view. Then Bukit Panjang is also a mall library. It serves a lot of young families and a lot of children. So for this one, they pay special attention to the children's section, the furniture to attract the younger kids, to make the kids more excited. A lot more reading spaces for families and young kids to be together. So Tampines Regional Library, for our public libraries, we split into three kinds. We have the mall libraries, the so-called standalones, which is a physical building on its own, and the regional libraries, which just means that it is having a bigger space as well as housing more collection. So as we move, the libraries undergo revamp, some of libraries are now moving to integrated spaces. So for Tampines Regional Library and Bedok Public Library, they're integrated with a sports hub. So for the Tampines Regional Library, there's a bit more emphasis on sports, while on active lifestyle, the collection. Because it is a regional library, more space has to be catered to the collection size, the seating area, as well as listening to the population needs as well, the residential needs. So every time they go through a revamp, they'll actually have a survey being done to the users of the library. Like, what do you want to see different? What would you miss about the library? What would you look forward to? If it can be incorporated, it will be. If not, they will find other means of still making sure that their needs are being served. So a lot of high engagement with the customers and the consumers of our libraries. So for Bedok Public Library, it is located in a more mature estate. The population or the residents are a bit more elderly. So there is a specific area in this library or where it's meant for the seniors, and we have brought in like the magnifiers as for the seniors to be able to read. So as you can see from the pictures, the gentleman is enjoying his book, but the print could be too small. So he's using a magnifier to be able to still continue reading. So for Yishun Public Library, this is a revamped library that's focusing more on digital. So they have, I will show you the virtual tour if we still have time. So for this one, when we surveyed, the residents said they want a bit more quietness. It's a little a respite from the work, the daily hustle and bustle. So we have created a special, we call it the Zen Cave, but it's actually a quiet reading room. Once you enter this space, it's very, very quiet for people to be able to do their own solo silent reading. And it's away from most of the programming spaces as well. So the latest, newest library that we had revamped is the Choa Chu Kang Public Library. The theme for Choa Chu Kang is on sustainability. So the partners we have worked with, the elements, the collection that we have brought into this library, it's all related to sustainability. So I do not have the virtual tour for this, but I will play you the video where you can see the behind the scenes of what this library has to offer. So it was just recently launched in end October. So let me give you a quick look at what our Choa Chu Kang library is like. Thank you.
Increase sales up to
Okay, so for Choa Chu Kang, we've partnered with, the partners that we have a hydroponic showcase. We have, you saw the indoor garden. There'll be storytelling brought in by our partners. We'll also be focusing a lot more on the idea of sustainability, recycling, etc. In this library, as well as the talks that are coming will be all revolving around the same theme. And other than that, we also have book clubs, studying communities across the public libraries, also focusing on different collections, different topics and genres as well. So this is the last section that I have. We have virtual tours. I won't be covering all of them. Cecilia, do we have a bit more time? I can bring you to the Yishun Public Library and the library at Harbourfront. So the library at Harbourfront is the latest, I think it's 2019. And it's a beautiful library that faces the Sentosa. So the Sentosa is one of our large tourist attraction. And it's also near quite a coastal area. So in terms of the view, this reading lounge that you see down here is the most popular spot in the library. And I'll show you why. So let me switch back. Before I move to the virtual tour, are there any questions or anything to ask? I'm so sorry I kept rambling on about the library spaces. I hope I didn't bore any one of you.
It's really beautiful. Thank you. It's great, great, great. Well, I didn't know that 50 and over was senior. So now I'm a senior person.
Young.
I will let you continue your presentation. Thank you.
So this is my last part. Just to show you what this is a virtual tour of Yishun Public Library. So this is a mall library located in a shopping center. And what I covered earlier was this is quite focused on digital as well as the quiet reading spaces. So just to give you a quick look that for a typical library, we have the program zone. That's where we have our programs. We'll carve out as an area for exhibitions if we have, and we are relying quite a lot on these digital bulletin boards because of we are minimizing first of all print, trying to minimize the printing of paper and replacing the prints, and also it will take up a lot of space. Hence, we are relying on digital bulletin boards now across our libraries to be able to feed the consumers more information, and we're able to update and make changes to it, and even input more kinds of media formats to catch people's attention. So like video clips, etc., can all be on the digital bulletin board to raise awareness of our programs, to raise awareness of maybe exhibitions that are going on, or a shout out for announcements that we want them to take note of.
If you enjoy natural lighting, the lounge has a seating capacity of 12 people and overlooks a small courtyard for that relaxing experience.
So this is our magazine. Yeah, I'll just run through you this virtual library. So this is the map of the Yishun Public Library. So it's located on the 4th floor of the shopping center. So we'll come in through this entrance. So for this library, there are 2 entrances. Okay, so one goes to the adult section, one goes into the children's section. So the one in green is the children's section, the one in blue is the adult section. And then the quiet reading lounge, the digital learning zone, where we have all our e-books and our e-collection, it's all located at the adult section. So
Our program zone can accommodate a variety of programs catering to different audiences. It has a seating capacity of 50 people and is a flexible and configurable space.
So this is just our program zone for the Yishun Library. Okay. So for more libraries, the program spaces are significantly smaller than the standalones as well as the regional. So capacity-wise for program zones, it's about, say, 30 to 50 max, while regional libraries can hit up to 100.
Our learning pods are equipped with interesting videos like TED Talks and online courses at Linda Library to help you learn on the go.
Okay, so this is our digital learning zone. So we have 7 learning pods. It's equipped with learning packages, with TED Talks. Then over here, we have our digital screens, and each screen houses specific collections. So these are curated by the librarians. So if I'm not so sure about the collection that you're focusing on now, but last time was one screen was on travel books, one was on cookery, the other was on the mother tongue languages. So we have it in Malay, Tamil, as well as Chinese. And another one was on business and career. So it has a focused theme. And if you want to borrow, you can just scan the QR code and use your mobile app to borrow these books. So our digital learning zone looks like this. Then this white screen that you see over here, it's actually I can't bring close. Yeah, so this particular one is a book art. So it's showcasing skills future books. So anything to do with business, careers, upgrading, leveling up your skills. It's a fancy thing. It's just books on a spiral that we hope to catch people's attention. And over here, there are more screens as well. We have virtual exhibitions being showcased, seating spaces for people to read. And we also have e-magazines showcased on these digital screens as well.
Our adult fiction area features integrated seating and new shelving designs. You can also find our Singapore collection and mother tongue language books in this section.
So our fiction collections are here. Okay, then as we go inwards, we have split our non-fiction books into specific categories, and we have brought it up front. Most of our libraries would do so in this manner. So we have a cookery section, and we also have other popular categories like business, recreational, lifestyle, arts that are all shelved up front, separated from the general nonfiction. So this is the Singapore collections. And then we have our general nonfiction collections as well as the mother tongue languages. Okay, so this is our catalog station. So if you can't find a book, or rather if you want to find a book, so this is where you go. And this little charging point, it's based on listening to users' needs. We have provided a charging area here for anyone who wants to have a quick charge of their phone or their laptops or other devices. Okay. So this is our reading space, but most of the time it will be the students who will come to our public libraries to make use of these reading spaces. So I'm not so sure if it's the same for your side, but the students will love to come to the public libraries, not to read. We try to get them to read, but they use the space because it's quiet, it's conducive for them to study with their friends. So most of the time we'll find the students occupying these spaces. So then we have the reading lounge. So this is our quiet reading lounge.
The design of the quiet reading area is inspired by nature and is a dedicated quiet space for reading and reflection.
Okay, so you can see these are mainly one or maximum two seaters. So it's we call this the Zen cave because it's very quiet. The lights are a bit dimmer than outside, and it's a place for you to reflect, for you to relax. And we have our audio.
Our audiovisual collection caters to both adults and children and features a shelf design that facilitates easy browsing of materials.
So this is, so we have a little small exhibition area here as well. This is the second entrance into the library. And this portion, this door here leads to our staff room. And this entire section over here is the children's section. So if you see from the map, we are right now at the green area here.
Young children can enjoy stories and programs in the Story Circle. This is a special open space to allow parents to bond with their children through stories.
So we have fiction, non-fiction, fairy tales and folk tales, magazines as well for the children, and also a Singapore collection for the young kids as well. And lots of reading spaces, the catalogs, we pay attention to the design specs as well. So for the catalog stations at the children's section as well as the adult section, they're all of different heights. Even the spaces between the shelves, we have to make sure that it is wheelchair friendly. We have to all adhere to specific, the BCA, the Building Commission Authorities specifications.
The early literacy section covers the topics Sense and Sensation, Poetry and Rhymes, Concepts, Emergent Readers, and Languages. Parents can use the collection to promote learning of early literacy skills for babies and toddlers.
So this is for the 0 to 6 years old. So we have the prams for mummies and daddies to park. Then we have also put out certain topics for nonfiction, so they can just zoom in directly to say crafts, sports, poetry, countries that are shelved over here. This is a story circle that you saw. Let's go a bit slower. So we have the picture books and folk tales, and we also have the tumble books. So this tumble books is more of an interactive storytelling app that is for young children. So this is where you can select a story, and then it's like a animated picture book. There's voiceover. Someone will be reading you the story. So there's a headset and everything for the young children to play with. So this early literacy is 0 to 3 years old. So this is basically the virtual tour for the Yishun Public Library. Then a quick pop over to harbourfront. The library at harbourfront is located at the Vivo City Mall. It's also again a mall library. There is a very nice reading lounge over here that faces the Sentosa. So this is actually a very popular reading space, lounging space for people to pick up a book and to. So you see, they have this deck chairs, and the view of the sun, the view of the sea. There's the cable cars that will move around here. So the seats are limited, so that's why some of them will come earlier to try and grab a seat here. So for the library at Harbourfront, they have the children's section from one section, and then the adult section, which is in blue. Then we have
The Thinker Truck is a makerspace for children between 3 to 9. Library at Harbourfront is the first library to have such a space for children to get creative and improve their problem-solving and reading skills. There are thematic DIY activity sheets and hands-on activities which they can tinker with. There are also monthly programs related to science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, such as activities on 3D art.
So this is what the Tinker Truck looks like. Programs related to tinkering, related to AR, crafting, it's all done down here. So again, it's also to expose children to the art of tinkering. And then for the adults, then we'll have the Make IT, the IT labs that I mentioned earlier. So it's 9:50, Cecilia. You have something to share as well. So there are a few library virtual tours of the public libraries. I can give the links to Cecilia, and in your own spare time, because there's a very lengthy voiceover for each section. Yeah, you may want to take some time to pop
In the reading circle,
and
parents
look
and
at
children
the-
can read and bond together.
to look at
The books here
spaces.
are for children up to 3 years old and are
Sorry. So like as I mentioned, it's a very detailed explanation for the virtual tour. Unfortunately, I'm unable to switch off the volume. So that's why I will give the links to Cecilia. There are about 6 virtual tours that we have available that our tech team has created. So you can actually view our public libraries at your own sweet time. So actually, that's all I have to share for the National Library Board. I hope it was an enjoyable session for all.
Thank you very much.
So there's actually many more things to share, but we have limited time.
Okay.
Thank you. Beautiful spaces. I love the Zen cave.
The Zen cave, right? Oh, I love the Zen cave too. We all need a Zen cave.
I hope she have actually impressed everyone on board with us.
Oh, we have a question, Francois raised his hand.
I'm not a tech guy, so I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Right. No
Any
worries,
of you have the chance to visit Singapore or interested to come see our libraries? Yeah, just drop me a note. I'll be happy. We will all be happy. Bring you around the libraries.
Thank you. Thank you. We will.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Avril, again for the presentation. I think it's
Thank
very
you.
interesting, very informative. Moving on, we will have the next speaker who will share with us more about the projects that the SBPA and NLB will be embarking on. Cecilia, who is the Executive Director of the SBPA Secretariat. Cecilia, please.
Cecilia, you're muted.
Someone muted me. Okay. Yeah. Just I think first and foremost, good morning to all the friends from Canada, and I'd like to actually share a bit more on our book bazaar. It's actually our consumer book fair that some of our publishers in Singapore, they like to actually reach out to the consumer here. Yeah. So this is being done over our site. Okay, it's organized by SBPA. Okay, so I'll just go quite quickly because we have another speakers that's coming on board later from Kino. Okay, so traditionally, consumer actually book fair actually play a vital role in our publishing. That is where also our publishers can reach out to our consumer directly, as well as they also use this opportunity to actually showcase their book. And during these book events, they usually organize like book activities, sharing, or no book launches and things like that. So these are the what actually happened in in the past. Okay, so what happened is in 2019 we have like physical event. So in 2000 we really actually turned everything into virtual, and eventually we have a hybrid event. So it has been evolved, and it's such a short time for us to really change and adapt actually. Yeah. So in 2019 we have this Singapore Book Bazaar. It's being actually held in one of the shopping mall. You know, we actually got hold of partners that actually sponsor us a space, and we showcase, and there's shoppers, you know, there's consumers that around, and we actually usually organize a lot of like activities for kids, you know, storytelling, you know, art and craft and things like that. So it was very fun because you reach out to the consumer directly, and then it's a face to face. And also when they actually pick up a book or they feel a book, they can just pay and buy, and they go, you know. However, okay, bad news. In January 2020, last year, actually the COVID actually pandemic actually broke through, and our first case was found, and we actually have a lockdown for a few months, you know. And I also changed my working style, and I have to work from home as well. Yeah, so that actually lasts until right now. At times, although we alternate days, we can still go back to work, but it's actually very much controlled. So for the 2002 20, what we did was we turned everything 100% into a virtual fair. So we use a website, you know, we use Facebook, you know, to run some activity and things like that. And we organize webinars, no more seminars, you know, it's all webinars, you know, using Zoom and things like that. So it's quite disruptive. And however, the good news is this year we have almost like 80% of our population right now is already vaccinated, and our government is planning to open up the space, you know, for us to meet again. Yeah, for us to meet again. So what happened is this year we decide to do something like a virtual event as well as in person. So how we actually do it is it has to be like a 50-50. At the same time, we cannot have too many people at our venue as well. So it's a very much controlled kind of activities that we are running. So we did a children's book bazaar just like last week, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so it's actually a hybrid event. So what we did was we used the weekdays, you know, for activity, and week for online activity, and we use the weekend to actually get to be a physical event. So at the same time, we also plan quite an interesting program like a storytelling competition for the kids. So this one is quite challenging. I think in the past what we did was we can actually invite the children in, and they can tell a story on stage, and then they can perform, and then we engage them. But this time around, it was my first time, you know, inviting the children to video down their storytelling sessions and submit for competition. And I'm very glad to share that they are very supportive. You know, we have up to 90 kids that actually send in their videos, and they are all very, very talented as well. And the other thing is that we developed was another interactive virtual story lens that actually encourage the kids to move around, to listen to some of the story and play some games in our this virtual hall. So I'll just go a bit faster. So of course, we cannot have a direct sales right now. So what we do is like we work with an e-commerce partner. We get them to help us to have a landing page, and all our publishers will have to actually engage in this platform, so that we can actually track, we can sell and promote at the same time in quite holistically. Yeah. So the other thing is our event on weekdays, we plan it in such a way that on the weekday at about 7 p.m. for a whole week, you know, 5 days, we had you know, different speakers coming on board to do their book sharing, to do their parenting talks, and different subjects. So what we did was we shared over like YouTube and of course our Facebook, so that we can actually get more viewers, and people can get hold of the video and they can watch it. Yeah. So however, we also have activity on the weekends, whereby about like four program a day, to talk about the storytelling. So like sometimes we have book sharing, storytelling, and different program on a weekend. So it is quite challenging because of course this event is actually very well supported by NLB. They actually, NLB, our National Library Board, they provided the venue for us to set up a stage, and a backdrop, and even equipment supports to actually host this. And we actually film the whole production and put it live on Facebook and YouTube as well. So it's very, very interactive. So of course, what the things that I have learned was that having a very good production house is very important, whereby they can actually help you to put all the programs together. And I really have no headaches on like carrying on the shows like this. Yeah, on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah. So the other area is our Storyland. This is actually designed for kids, and it's a virtual space for them to move around. And what we have is like maybe we can take a look at this. Yeah. So in this virtual space, we have about like 10 bookstore with us. So they each bookstore is represented by a brand or by publishers, and they will share two story, and then they will have some games to win some goodie bag and things like that. So we got quite a positive response. That's why we are actually extending the programs till end of the month. Yeah, the virtual storybook. At the same time, we also run some other promotions like the Kids Choice Award to actually promote our publishers book. And this is the children's competitions, and we have our closing event. Invited all the shortlisted winners and the winners to come on board with us and collect their, receive their prizes and trophy on stage. So we had a very good time, together. Yeah. So the very important partners that to me or to the association or even to my publisher is actually NLB come a big way to come in to support us with a very, very good venue, okay, whereby we can actually host our event, we can do our production, we can do exhibition, we can do display. We are not allowed to sell, by the way, but we are allowed to exhibit, we can showcase, and no money transaction at that time. We can only like scan a QR code, and they can actually buy direct from our e-commerce, and the book will be sent to them directly to their home. So very little, only book display, but not like a lot of stock, for sale. So it becomes a very, very unique kind of a book bazaar experience for me, yeah, and for my consumer as well. So here are some of the kids that actually won the prizes. Yeah. So this is the space that they have. It's really big, it's about like 300 square meter, and they have a stage, they have like TV screen, they have projectors, and they have tables and chairs, so that actually help us save a lot of cost in terms of the whole event. Yeah, it's actually usually a budget for such kind of event. It actually costs about like 30 to 40% of the cost. So NLB, really thank you so much for the support. Yeah. So, and this location is also very convenient. It's actually at the heart of Singapore. It's a very central, and they have a lot of train line that actually connected to this location. At the same time, it's actually located just next within the library. Is within the library where the children's and all this. So when we actually run the children's program, which is like at the same time, we can also get quite a lot of attention from the visitors as well. Yeah. Okay, besides, giving us a space, I must say I must appreciate another support for us is the marketing support. They also support us by putting up our poster, banners, even our flyers, not just in the central library, but to at all the other library, like 4 other libraries, and they support and help us to promote further to increase the awareness of our event. Yeah. Okay, so this one I have touched on this. Yeah. So these are the top 10 books that have actually won the awards. So by doing this, I hope more children's or more parents, they will be more aware of like what are the good titles around. They can actually promote it to their children to read. Yeah. So of course to have a successful event. Okay, I also appreciate all my publishers that actually come on board to support me. I got a very short calling time, so very quickly I can gather about like 10 to 15 of them to come on board to support us. So I guess I really appreciate how they actually put their efforts together. Yeah. Then of course with that we also generated a lot of publicity like TV, newspapers, our national newspaper, our regional TV station like Channel News Asia. They cover our program like in quite detail. Yeah. So and we hope that oh yeah, there's something that I have actually missed out was like this book event, this children's book event is actually promoting Singapore book. So all the publishers that are actually on board with us, they are actually Singapore publishers that publish Singapore book. Yeah. So I would just like to share this last video clip. So thank you for your time. And that's the end of my presentations. Okay. So let me see. Okay, we have Kino Miss Choa with us. Will you like to take over the screen?
Yeah, thanks Cecilia for the presentation on the book bazaars. Now we would like to move on to the next speaker, who is from Kinokuniya. Just give me a moment. So the next speaker is Miss Choa Gateway, the Corporate Relations Division Manager at Books Kinokuniya Singapore. Gateway, would you like to just introduce yourself? Thank you.
Okay, can every one of you hear me loud and clear? Thank you for bearing with me. And I must just say, I'm obviously most of us are working from home right now. And if you happen to hear little birds chirping as I'm talking, pardon me, my 4 lovely birds are sleeping in the same bedroom as me, and I work from my bedroom right now. So just forgive me if you get disturbed along the way. It's 10:07 here in Singapore at night. Yeah, but I'm gonna disturb them anyways, just to join all of you at this really, really nice meeting. And hi, Evero, long time no see.
Hello.
Right. Yeah. So first of all, I must just put it this way. For Kinokuniya, we seldom actually get a chance to present ourselves via Zoom. I probably can say by and large, we are still a very much heavily bricks and mortar business. We have 3 retail stores in Singapore. We have many others all over the world. Unfortunately, not any in Canada. The closest to yourselves, we have a few stores in the States. By stores, I mean retail stores. And we are a bookstore that originated in Japan. And we've been in Singapore for, well, I should say since 1983. My math is really bad. So it's been about close to 40 years we've been in Singapore running a bookstore. Our humble beginnings, really, we started as a bookstore serving the needs of Japanese expatriates the world over, primarily in countries which includes Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Taiwan, Australia, the States, and very, very recently, since 2008, we started running a bookstore in 2018, I beg your pardon. We started running a bookstore in the Middle East. We have one of the biggest retail stores in Dubai, and our latest overseas baby was Abu Dhabi store. Yeah, that's the kind of venture that we have had. So has any one of you ever been to any Kinokuniya bookstores? I mean, besides obviously those of you from Singapore. Is any one of you? So no, I should think not, as I see most of you, nope. Some of you actually replied me via chat group, nope. So let me just show you give you a very quick look of how we look like. If I may actually share a screen from my laptop, if I may do that. I see Simon has been to the one in New York City. Better than me, I've never been to that one before. All right, let me just see if I can get my screen shared up. Okay, I'm going to show you a very boring thing first, which is our corporate homepage. I think this is a very good way for you to start to get to know us. This is a corporate homepage that is meant for Kinokuniya Singapore. As I mentioned earlier, we are from Japan. The chain's from Japan. So if you wish, you can Google up Kinokuniya Japan and you'll be brought to a fully Japanese landing page, of which I'll rather not bore you with that. I'm happy to show you what we actually have in Singapore. So this is us. We have 3 retail stores in Singapore right now. We used to have more due to many change and turn of affairs. We now have 3. Starting from here is can you all see my screen? Okay, yeah. So starting with the one on our extreme left, that's our main store, and which stands at about 38,000 square feet, and houses about 500,000 titles, primarily in English, also in Japanese, Chinese, and we have a little bit of French book left still. We used to also have a German collection. We've since ceased to actually stock that in our retail store, due to a bit of a slower sales of German books as compared to French books. Yeah. And the other 2 are our smaller, what we call here, refer to them as satellite stores. One is known as Bugis Junction Store and Jurong Store. They're basically located a little bit further from Shopping Belt. Our main store is located right in the center of our Shopping Belt in Singapore. Yeah. So besides 3 retail stores, we also have an e-commerce store, a web store. So this is how it looks like. It's not the proudest thing we have, but it's still something that we're struggling to make better every step of the way, if I may put it that way. And for web store wise, our e-commerce store, our offering stretches from beyond what we have in the retail store to whatever's available with our partner distribution channels, right? So this is our web store. If you have time, do have a look at them. If you have any interest in any way to collaborate with us, do reach out to us through SBPA. If not, you can reach out to us through the various platforms that you can find from our corporate homepage or even our web store. Yeah. So that's it. Well, to go straight to the chase, I will be showing you a clip, and in fact, walking you through a video clip of our bookstore, which was taken some months back as we were hosting a bunch of interns from courtesy of SBPA, Singapore Book Publishers Association. Every year, we have actually been hosting interns from them at our main store, our flagship store, for a short tour. This year, we had to turn everything into Zoom. And because I was 100% working from home, in fact, I still am. So I got some young colleagues to help me put together a video. So point to note, this was done a few months ago. From then till now, there have been a lot of changes as well actually in the physical store itself. So what you're seeing through this video is a little bit different from what you will get to see in person. So again, to those of you who are familiar with our main store at Takashimaya SC Shopping Center, this is an old video in short. Yeah. Okay. So this store, once again, is a 38,000 square feet store. We have 5 entrance points, of which 3 are in use right now. 2 are closed due to COVID reasons. So where you are seeing and where we are coming from, the angle of the video is our main entrance. We're located at level 4 of the biggest shopping center in Singapore, probably still the biggest. And we were originally a floor below it. We got an order to shift 1 floor upwards back in 2017. So we used to be a 42,000 square feet bookstore, which unfortunately the new place has got a lesser square foot area that we could use. So it is now 38,000 square feet, right? So main entrance, and this is our main entrance, and we work collaboratively with a local designer, a local architect, in fact, who has been working on several Kinokuniya stores, including the one in New York City's Bryant Park. The same architect who worked with us to design most of our overseas stores out of Japan. Yeah, so he's also the one who's behind this store, and you can probably see and feel that it has got a very different look as compared to other types of bookstore that you probably encounter the world over, right? So there's a little bit of a Zen feel, Japanese feel about it, and a lot of the design concepts in this store is associated with our Asian close proximity with the Asian country, obviously, because we're in the middle of Asia itself. So you'll see that later the flooring, the flooring that we actually got from us sourced from China. The design in the store itself, a lot of heavy influence of Japanese culture. Yeah. So I'm just going to continue from here. Oh, I did not did not particularly intend to stop at this page. Again, with the onset of as we are all living through the pandemic, we had to introduce such measures such as please sanitize your hands before you start to spend your good time browsing through the books in the bookstore itself. Yeah. So here we go. So right at the main entrance itself, where you see flanking left and right, is our literature as well as nonfiction. So the main walkway, you'll be walking through the main walkway. So towards your left, what we're seeing from the screen towards your left is our literature shelves, and just across it, what we're seeing right now, right in front, is our nonfiction shelves. So this is how we usually greet our customers, again, alluding to our bookstores out of Japan, the world over.
Sorry, Gateway. I think this page is not moving, you know.
Yeah, I paused it.
You paused?
Yeah,
I'm not seeing, I'm still seeing the retail store locations, you know. Not, yeah.
Let me just get back to that.
If it's a new application, you have to reshare the screen.
Yeah, I think so. Hold on, yeah. Let me see. I'm sorry.
No worries.
New share. Okay, yes. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm just going to bring us back again. I beg your pardon for that. Okay, so we shall see again can you see my screen now?
No, it's still the same.
Oh, this is weird. I've selected it. Hold on. Still the same?
No, but it says WhatsApp.
Shouldn't be doing that. Yet. I've not reached there yet. Let me just stop share first and I'll try again. Right, have you seen it?
Yes.
Goodness. All right. I'm not a tech person at all, as you can tell. All right. Yeah. So this is a video I was talking about. I beg your pardon. So I will take ourselves probably very quickly through this. So where we are coming from, this the angle of this video is we're moving towards our main entrance. So I was saying that our store's designed by a renowned architect in Singapore, and there's a lot of influences drawn from Japanese culture and also the larger Asian culture. So what you're seeing here is the entire design of this bookstore in the first place. You see it. It's a little bit difficult to catch angles. This little enclave that we're trying to express, or I should say that what the architect is trying to express is a Japanese tea house. So you can see an extensive usage of wood, a little bit of wood, of also bamboo strips. So earlier on, you see from this angle here, and you'll see from the next few seconds later, these are all concepts. If you're familiar with the Japanese culture, concepts drawn from living from a traditional tea house in Japan. So this whole frontage area is designed from the basis of a Japanese tea house, the traditional tea house. And we use a lot of wooden flooring, wood also for our ceiling, and the marbling I was mentioning to you is the amount. We are trying to merge and introduce a larger Asian culture, the floorings from China, sourced from China, the flooring marble, right? So earlier on, I was also mentioning that in our retail stores the world over, to the left, you'll usually be greeted by our fiction and non-fiction section, especially our fiction section. And this is particular to our stores outside of Japan, where we have a huge emphasis on literature usually at our main entrance, just at our main entrance. Yeah. So these are special feature shelves also. There's a lot of special feature shelves within this bookstore itself, specially designed again, based on our various different needs. So like this particular section you're seeing here, we call them the comma, C-O-M-M-A. There are 6 of them right at the main entrance area. And we work with our various distributor partners to run special features of new titles, new releases, and so on and so forth throughout the year. So encompassing this whole comma, a collection of what we call them Kinopicks. So these are our best sellers for a certain time period. So we will throw the highlights all together in these Kinopicks shelves. Yeah. So every comma, every of these picks shelf is dedicated to a certain section representative in the bookstore itself. So what you saw earlier was non-fiction book. If you manage to steal a little look just across it, you see to your very left-hand side of your screen itself, that's for our fiction collection. So the other 4 contains for books, highlights, Kinopicks for children, Kinopicks for comics, because that's huge, Kinopicks for business book, as well as design books and magazines. Yeah. So this video was taken mostly before our store opens for retail business. So you see our colleagues getting ready, including pushing back the cashier team, pushing back shopping baskets. So these are the kind of shopping baskets we use in our bookstore. And this is the quantum, that's the sheer amount of books that people actually get from our main store or flagship with each trip that, with each visit that define time to come browse at our flagship. Right. If you have any questions, please feel free to just shout out. I know I'm a nervous little wreck when I come to such presentations all the time. All right, and there's something I would like to bring to your attention here as well. This little screen here is what we lovingly call it as Kino Navi. Kino short form Kinokuniya. Navi is a short form for navigation. This is a self-navigation system where we do allow customers to self-help as they need to locate any book within our bookstore. There's several of these kind of touch panels around the bookstore. One can also access Kino Navi via by Googling it out, so that they will get to self-navigate without needing to wait for any service personnel to come out to them or to be of service to them. Yeah. Right. So I really hope one fine day you'll get the opportunity to come to visit us. This is our magazine collection. Not only do we have English magazines, we have zines from really wherever we can lay our hands on, from German magazines, French magazines. Where there's a demand and there's a supply, we'll be more than happy to actually service to meet the needs of the reader in Singapore. And this is our latest project that we launched this year, self-checkout counters. Again, with the advancement of technology, also with this whole self-checkout counter was put together at a really fast speed, again due to the nature of pandemic living. So we had this installed in earlier part of this year, where customers get the experience to check out the purchases themselves straight away, including bagging the bags and payment without having the need to interface with another individual if they do not find it necessary to go to the cashier queue. Yeah, so yeah. But yet, if your traditionalist help is just across the way, the aisle, in fact, where our cashier's counter is. Yeah, as you will see, these are one of our key service counters. And as we move into the store, this is our business book section. So it's one of the top 4 best-selling section in our flagship. Besides fiction, literature, business books, children's book, and next up, of course, is comics, manga. So it's amazing how fast video is, because we would have reached the middle of the bookstore itself. Usually when I lead tours to the bookstore, as we reach the middle of the bookstore itself, it will have probably taken me about 20-30 minutes to get just to the middle of the bookstore itself, because of the sheer interest when you're in such a huge bookstore, and then there'll be a lot of questions that's generally generated. Yeah, by the time I reach the middle of the bookstore itself. Well, over here, what I'm happy to present is our section on nature. Our collection of books on nature, books on geography, etc., as well as our collection of fossils, gemstones, and also minerals by rock. By that I mean rocks, and so on and so forth, which our supply comes from Tokyo. Yeah, so this is something which we have maintained from the onset of from the time where we actually started building our flagship till now. And where we used to see a lot of shops specializing in such kind of collection, we don't see them anymore, but yet we feel that there's still a need for us to keep the section to feed again collectors' needs. Yeah, so that's our fossils, gemstones section, which is actually embedded within our science section, if you like. So some of the impressions that our visitors, our customers have is, wow, you have such an extensive science section. It's unusual for a retail bookstore to have. But it is one of our thoughts in having this when we built this main store, this flagship, which was back in the year 1999, that is to have an academic section where it's not in a retail bookstore setting, to not just have a common regular retail bookstore, but to have it as a professional bookstore where academicians will be happy to visit as well. Yeah. So same thing. This is the middle of the bookstore, This area in particular, we're proud to have is the biggest and widest freestanding space in the entire 38,000 square feet store. And this place is what we lovingly call it as Crossroads, where we host authors from the world over, except for James Patterson, not having the opportunity as yet, from the world over for signing sessions, including, of course, we are very proud to always have the support of our local Singapore writers to have their book launches here. Again, these were all pre-pandemic days. We're looking forward to the day where we can hopefully restart our in-person author meeting, meeting their fans, doing signing, doing author talks, children author reading to children, events restarted at our events area once again. Yeah, so this is Crossroads. If your eyes are really sharp, you also notice that we have special travel map section that is just behind our events area, Crossroads. So this is where we have come to the less boring part of the store. Well, not say boring, but less serious part of the store. This is where our performing arts section is, where we have, again, we're not just a regular bookstore. We have not only books, magazines, we also have Blu-rays, CDs. We're probably the only surviving CD shop, if you like, or shop having CDs, music CDs, that is still in a retail shop. And this is our travel guide section, which had really lackluster sales until vaccinated travel lane information was being released. I heard from my colleagues when our country first announced that we have the VTL with Germany, our Germany travel books flew off the shelves, so much so that we were sold out on everything we have on Germany. Can you beat that? In 2 years, no sales, and all of a sudden we're out of stocks. So that's how much Singaporeans are thirsty to travel. Yeah. So we've now entered a little enclave. There are several enclaves in the bookstore itself. That's why a lot of people wouldn't realize that it's that big until they walk through the entire store. Because we have enclaves like these for houses that are design books. So you'll see interior design books, architecture books, and many books that are geared more for the specialist. So the other thing that I would like to also draw your attention here is this little window that we have, right? Again, back to our designer, who's also a writer himself, and he writes for Chinese periodicals. He also published several books already. So he's a very, very bookish person. And to set us back on a reminder, this whole bookstore's designed to, well, if I may use the word, to trap the reader in the bookstore for as long as possible, as long as you like, as long as you have time for, to be browsing through our collection. And as we keep you here, we also want to make you feel really comfortable, really homey. So this section in particular is designed in a way where a lot of times the comments actually matches the design inspiration that it's like your own home library. Yeah. So these three windows, can you imagine your own home library? Well, we don't really get that in Singapore unless you're living in an independent landed housing. Are like windows that shine, that allows you to see through your scenery outside. And because, as you all know, Singapore is a sunny island, always constantly very hot. We do not want to remind you too much of that when you're indoors. So these windows are specially designed to an effect. It's not that the windows are not clean. The windows are always very clean. But the effect of these little windows here are set to remind you, or to create an atmosphere that it is foggy, it is cloudy, and it's really cozy for you to stay inside. Yet it gives you a little glimpse to the outside world to let you still stay connected to what's going on outside. So you'll see that there's not much of this kind of window spaces that we make available, but we still decided to go ahead, because with every window that we have looking outside to the street, there goes our bookshelves. So yeah, so this is our biggest window space. Again, we specially cater this window space to connect, to allow the person in the bookstore to still feel and remain connected to nature, to outside. And this actually overlooks a street, the street is what we called Orchard Road. So it's our key shopping belt. So if you see it in the morning, you'll see the hustle and bustle and the morning sun welcoming you. If you see it at night, especially during December, when the Christmas lights are up, lighting this street, you'll see the whole atmosphere as well coming through to the window into the bookstore itself. So this is the whole concept of why we kept a window space like this, and of which we nicknamed this the Eye, as in the eye. This is the eye of Orchard Road, looking right into the busy street. So this is what I'm trying to describe to you. It's really a pity that we have to do this through Zoom, because I think in person you really feel the difference. Be it you visit us in the morning, in the daytime, or actually at nighttime, right? So beyond the performing arts section, the design section, we'll be entering another enclave where the family actually gets an opportunity to get together at the same time, pursue their different interests. So we have family relationship shelves here. You'll see cooking bookshelves. You'll also see our our pride, which is our children's section. Our children's section not only houses children's books, we also house young adults collection. And I've understood from my buyers that there have been a lot of international publishers who came through, and they were basically floored by the sheer immense collection of young adult books that we have in this bookstore. And we're very proud of it because, where we start to groom a reader, it's basically at infancy stage. And it's really important to keep the spirit of reading there. Yeah. So from children's section, very close by, it is just a little tongue-in-cheek that our colleagues did up here to show you the kind of cookbook collection we have. So ranging from Asian cookbooks to international cookbooks that you must be very familiar with. And not just cooking, but even for drinks as well. If you have a coffee obsession, well, you need a book, we have it. All right, and from family relationship shelves, we are moving on to, this is about the 3/4 of the way through the store already. Our section of manga, graphic novels, comics, game guides. Yeah, which is a natural flow. You know, when you're a kid, you read kids' book. When you grow up a little bit bigger, you read comics, manga these days. And if you go further beyond that, you may just be exploring graphic novels from the Americas, yeah, which is what we have here. Also, this is one of our colleagues, our assistant store manager. The morning routine will pick out book orders, book reservations, and whatnot. So we have one of the largest comics book collection in Singapore, if not the largest. There are a lot of independent bookstores, comic bookstores, and many other independent bookstores in Singapore, and we work very, very closely with them while being competitors, but we also believe in being complementary to one another. And I presume that the trend is really widespread. There's a huge manga fervor that's burning very, very wildly amongst the young readers in Singapore. So the manga section you're seeing now has in fact expanded. What we have in the video showing you right now, the sheer size of our manga section has doubled since 2 months ago to meet the demands. And these are translated manga. Because in our bookstore, we house 4 different languages. Most of the comics are housed together with the exception of French publications. So Japanese, English, Chinese manga are all collectively located in a single place within the bookstore itself per se. So again, this is showing you some of the architecture that we have, special features that we have, including lighting in the bookstore. And this section is our stationery. So we have a stationery section in our flagship store, and most of these very kawaii, very cute stationery items are sourced directly from Japan. So there's a very deep, strong, old culture, or I should say fans of everything Japanese in Singapore. They could be residents here, they could be locals here, they could also be tourists. We get about 1/3 of our customers pre-pandemic used to be tourists who come from all over around us in the region itself, from Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, Brunei, Philippines, so on and so forth. And they usually make a beeline to our flagship just to check it out, to get their hands on anything they could, or rather I should say they could not get in their own home countries. Yeah. So over here is our Japanese section. So let us remember Kinokuniya, while it's difficult to pronounce, while we are from Japan at the end of the day. And our very original mission when we opened bookstores around the world out of Japan is to serve the reading needs of people who are familiar with Japanese books. And we do not necessarily mean Japanese. It could be a Japanese reader, but a non-Japanese citizen. Yeah. So again, same thing, Japanese manga, Japanese light novels, Japanese magazines even. There's a huge fanfare in Singapore, again, of anything and everything Japanese. Yeah, well, it's one of the stronger Asian cultures that we have. And well, it is also our forte at the end of the day. So located just next to our Japanese book section is our Chinese book section. Most of our Chinese books are sourced from Taiwan, which means to say it's written in traditional Chinese. That's because we do have bookstores as well as a corporate office in Taiwan as well. We are not present in China, in case you're wondering. We hope to be one fine day. Yeah. So what are the best-selling kind of books for Chinese? Largely translated literature, yeah, besides children and also, of course, comic books. So as you're noticing here, this is our literature shelves. Again, this particular space, what used to be our pride, why I say used to be, the literature wall shelves are now gone. We had to actually do some rehashing of our bookshelves and where the genres go. So that's now taken over by Chinese books. And this, what you're seeing now, I think most of you will be interested. This is our French book section. We used to have a store-based French books consultant, who's a French lady. Unfortunately, she had to move to Jakarta with her family. So she now is our consultant, serving us and serving our French books customers from Jakarta. Yeah, so she built this French book section, which has also since shifted to another location. Again, because we actually had to move our books and bookshelves around. Yeah, so this is how it is: 2 wall shelves and about 8 island shelves of our French books, which we still try to keep the collection that we have. So what sells again the best? Children's book, number 1. Number 2, literature, then will be followed by the rest of the amalgamated genres. We have a very strong and supportive French speaking community in Singapore. This is why, if you remember early on, I said that we used to have French and German when we were at our old location, and when we had to shift locations 1 floor up, we had to give up the German section, but yet we fought very strongly to keep the French book section because of the sheer support we get from the French reading community, French book reading community. Yeah. So beyond that, well, this is a little bit of a repeat because we made you swing into a different section, a different enclave, before we come back to our biggest service counter that is located in this main store. And you'll see we have many items going on. So these are little tote bags. We're trying to, like everyone else, in fact, we feel very far behind, trying to get our readers, our supporters, our fans, our customers to go as green as possible, go into reusable tote bags, stop using plastic bags. In fact, we started charging the use of plastic bags from 1st of January this year. Yeah, and we're really, really proud to have been able to hold that for one whole year. It's not easy because plastic is still, the use of plastic bags is still very rampant in Singapore. So these few pen shots are to show you the ceiling works. Again, you really feel more of it as you find the opportunity to visit us in future. And yeah, so we've come back to our events area, middle of the bookstore itself. Just bear with me for a little while more as my two colleagues actually are trying to bring us or let you experience the bookstore once again, the extensiveness of the bookstore itself. So this is a kind of like a panorama feel of the entire bookstore as you stand in the middle of it all. Yep. So I'm going to stop here because again, earlier on, as I mentioned, this video was meant to show interns. So there's a little bit of a backdoor look, but I think that's not so relevant for yourselves. But I'm happy to show you one more thing. Just give me a little while. Screen share. WhatsApp. All right. So this is where our French book section is right now. It's still a work in progress. So that's why I decided not to do any video footage to show yourselves. Look kind of the same, but it is now in our design section. So we found another enclave for French books customers to enjoy browsing through our collection of French books. As you can see, again, work in progress. So we're not the proudest to show you French books right now, but due to the nature of your forte, most of you are French publications. So I've decided to just let you have a look at what we have. I would believe the flip side is also French books, but because the area is a little bit tight, so this is what we have to show you right now, where the new location of our French books is. French book section is. Yep. And last but not least, just one more screen to show you. This is the entirety of the store itself, the bookstore. So basically what I did was to bring you through this entire walkway. And we walked throughout the store itself. You will remember this area here was our biggest service counter. Our events areas was over here. So French book section is now within this area itself. And from here, that's where we ended over here. So there you have it, Kinokuniya Singapore main store. Right.
Thank you very much.
With pleasure.
Very large store, beautiful.
Thank you. We hope you'll get to visit us one day. And when you do that, do let Cecilia, SBPA team know. If not, contact us. Let us know that you have seen it before in this presentation and you're just dropping by. Even if you're just passing through, we're more than happy to bring you around in person.
Thank you.
With pleasure.
Thank you, Kei Hui.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Rick, how?
We'll have a short Q&A segment. So if there are any questions about the presentations that you have seen, you can ask them now.
If I can answer them. Hi, Jane, right?
Yeah, I have a question just for the bookstore. Where, like, is all of the buying for the stores done like centrally in Japan, or is each location, is the buying done separately for each location?
The buying is done separately for each location. That's primarily because in Japan, we're still very much a Japanese bookstore. Although I'm proud to say that our main store in Tokyo Shinjuku has a really, really large collection of, well, by large, it's Japanese standards of large, of English books, as well as books such as in languages such as Italian, French, German as well, and some others that I'm not very, very aware of. So with each country that we're in, including Japan, there's a specialization also of the particular country's language books. So say, for example, in our stores in Jakarta, we have a special section dedicated to Bahasa Indonesia books. In our stores in Thailand, there's a section on Thai books. And even in Middle East, there's a Arabic section. And we will always represent the indigenous publication in each country that we're in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. In the chat also, we don't have any more questions. So, we are about to come to the end of the session. Thank you very much for attending today. At this point, we will have to take a short photo. Right. Okay, just give me a moment. All right. 1, 2, 3, and say cheese. All right, thank you so much.
Everyone.
To all of you. Have a great day.
Okay,
Thank you. It was great. Thank you.
You too.
Thank
All of you
you.
have a good day ahead.
Bye-bye.
The rest of you, good night.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, Gei Hui and Evie. Thank you so much. 谢谢.
It's okay.
Very good
Thank you.
presentation. I really learned a lot.
All right. Thank you, guys.
We should catch up again. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Yurek. Yeah.